Hi everyone, welcome to Lei's Looking Glass. After the earthquake struck Myanmar in March 2025, internet users in Thailand all started looking for a woman named Pra. Her real name is Navaracha Pinilokakkorn, but she goes by more Pra, and she's known as one of Thailand's most famous modern-day prophets. Why were people suddenly searching for her? Today, let's tell her story and the chilling prediction she made about 2025. Pra is not your typical fortune teller. She doesn't wear robes or carry a crystal ball. She looks like any trendy young woman in Thailand. She takes glamorous selfies and posts them on social media. But Pra says she was born with a special gift, the ability to see what others cannot. In a 2014 interview on Thai TV, she gave a rare glimpse into her childhood and her unusual abilities. From a young age, Pra said that she could see spirits. Some were ghosts, some were deities. Across the street from her home was an abandoned house, but little Pra often saw figures coming and going from it. She would stand under the eaves of her house, waving and smiling at them. Of course, the spirits never responded. Her family and neighbors thought she was a little odd, always waving at nothing. But since she was just a child, they chalk it up to imagination. One day, she saw an old man walk out of the abandoned house. This time, the old man waved back. Excited, Pra ran across the street to chat. Her family and neighbors, however, were terrified. They saw the girl in front of a spooky, empty house, talking and laughing wildly, seemingly at no one. Her family rushed out to pull her away. "I'm having fun with Uncle," she cried. That only confirmed their worst fears. Some thought she was mentally ill. Others believed she was possessed. Thailand is a deeply Buddhist country, and belief in spirits, karma, and reincarnation runs deep. One brave neighbor decided to enter the abandoned house to investigate. He was shocked. Inside was the body of an elderly man, long dead. As the adults stood frozen in fear, little Pra pointed at the dead man and said, "That's the uncle I was playing with." From that day on, the whole neighborhood knew Pra could see the dead. No one dared to tease her anymore. As she got older, Pra realized that her powers weren't limited to ghosts. She could also see deities and spirits from different religions. She claimed to have seen and spoken with Krishna, the Hindu deity. When she told her family, they were both amazed and terrified. They took her to a psychiatrist for a full evaluation. After a series of tests, the doctors gave their verdict. Pra was not mentally ill. Her parents were relieved, but they warned her not to talk about her visions with strangers. So Pra grew up keeping everything to herself and rarely spoke of her visions. But everything changed around the time she turned 20. A spirit, one that looked like Yama, the Buddhist god of the underworld, began to visit her. This spirit taught her how to read faces, tell fortunes, and eventually gave her the ability to predict the future. The spirit also told her to use the name More Pra when making predictions. And just like that, More Pra was born. Starting around 2010, Pra began offering readings for people around her. Sometimes she would post her predictions for the coming year on social media. And her predictions covered everything: politics, the economy, social unrest, and natural disasters. Pra called herself a messenger of the gods. She claimed that whenever something major was about to happen, divine beings would come to her, some speaking in voices, others showing her visions. Some of the images were crystal clear, others were vague or confusing. Sometimes she didn't even understand what she saw. At times, she doubted what was being revealed to her, but she believed that it wasn't her place to question it. Her job was simply to deliver the messages. As time went on, people started noticing that Pra's readings were unusually accurate. In Bangkok, where fortune tellers are everywhere, that's not easy to pull off. but Pra's name slowly started to rise. In 2014, her big break came. ThaiRav, one of Thailand's top media outlets, interviewed her. The producers originally just wanted a simple interview with a quirky fortune teller. On the show, she shared two shocking predictions. First, she said that a major aviation disaster would soon strike Southeast Asia. It would shake the world. The strange thing, she warned, was that it wouldn't be a normal crash. It would be a mysterious disappearance with no clear trace left behind. The journalist stared at her, half skeptical, half amused. But before he could respond, Pra dropped a second bombshell. She said she saw a ship full of children disappeared at sea. But she didn't specify when or where, and the way she spoke, sudden, intense, and a bit chaotic, didn't encourage either the producers or the public to take her seriously. But then, just 2 months later, both predictions came true. In March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished while en route to Beijing. It's now been more than a decade, and the plane is still missing without a single clear explanation. Then, in April 2014, a South Korean ferry sank during a trip from Incheon to Jeju Island. The ferry was carrying 250 high school students, a ship full of children, just as Pra had warned. Only then did people realize Pra wasn't just another fortune teller, she was the real deal. From that moment on, news outlets from across Thailand and even outside wanted to interview her. But she didn't accept every request. She seemed to appear only when something big was about to happen. In June 2015, Moa Pra gave an interview to a women's magazine. As she looked at a map on the wall, she casually pointed at Malaysia and said, "Something bad might happen there." Then she moved her finger to Kuala Lumpur, the capital, and added, "A famous building in this city. It will catch fire." Just a few hours after the interview, a 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck Malaysia's eastern region of Sabah. For Malaysia, a country that rarely experiences earthquakes, it was a major disaster. And then, about 3 weeks later, a fire broke out on a small hill in Kuala Lumpur. The Royal Malaysia Police Headquarters was on fire. And just like that, Pra's prediction had hit the mark again. People across Thailand were stunned. She wasn't just a psychic, she was fast becoming a national phenomenon. The media even dubbed her Thailand's Nostradamus. Fast forward to late 2024, Moa Pra appeared on TV again. This time she said that in March or April of 2025, an earthquake would hit the Myanmar region, and northern Thailand would feel it too. But the damage to Thailand, she reassured, won't be severe. Then she paused, thought for a moment, and added something more ominous. But Bangkok will shake, and buildings will sway. The host raised his eyebrows, clearly skeptical. Earthquakes in Thailand are rare. Still, the interview aired, and then came something that Moa Pra didn't predict: backslash. In the 2023 Thai general election, Moa Pra had predicted that the leader of the Progressive Move Forward Party might win. But the winner turned out to be the leader of the more establishment-aligned Pheu Thai Party. Moa Pra's prediction was off, and this wasn't the first time. In 2018, she had said that Malaysia's former Prime Minister, Mahathir Mohamad, would step down due to health issues. But the PM went on to serve 2 more years before resigning in 2020. When you make wrong political predictions in a country like Thailand, where people deeply believe in spirits and prophecy, it can become a real problem. The concern wasn't just about accuracy. If Pra predicted that one party would lose, It could make the party's supporters lose hope. They might think, the heavens aren't with us, and decide not to vote at all, possibly affecting the outcome and creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. And when it comes to politics, the monarchy, or national security, Thailand doesn't treat fortune-telling as mere entertainment. The government publicly called her out, accusing her of spreading panic and baseless rumors. So, after the interview in late 2024, Pra vanished from the spotlight. For months, she said nothing. No interviews, no more predictions. Even her social media went silent. She had disappeared. In March 2025, a strong earthquake struck Myanmar. As Pra had predicted months earlier on TV, high-rise buildings in Thailand began to sway, even in Bangkok. Her chilling forecast had come true again. Panic set in. If Pra was right about this, what else had she seen? Suddenly, just as in the beginning of our story, people across Thailand were desperately searching for her, hoping she could offer answers, or at least a warning. And then, just recently, in April, more Pra reappeared. She first showed up on one of Thailand's biggest entertainment networks, GMM. Not long after, she joined a live broadcast hosted by one of the country's most famous presenters, Woody. In both appearances, she dropped even more terrifying prophecies. On the GMM program, Pra warned that sometimes before August 2025, most likely in June or July, one of Thailand's provinces, starting with the letter K, would suffer from a disaster caused by water, but it would not be from rain. She emphasized that the source would be a disturbance from the sea or land, like a tsunami, a disaster triggered by an underwater earthquake. The word tsunami sent a shiver. It immediately brought back the memories of the devastating 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, which had killed hundreds of thousands across the region. In Thailand, there are 77 provinces, many of which start with the letter K. Online speculation in Thailand exploded. A professor named Santi, who is a geologist from University Kuala Lumpur, published a long article analyzing the seismic risks of every K province. His conclusion? Yes, earthquakes are possible in June or July, but history shows they are usually mild, with little damage, and certainly not strong enough to cause a tsunami. His message to the public: do not panic. Don't let a fortune teller's baseless warnings shake your faith in science. But Miss Pra didn't back down. On Woody's live show, she took things a step further, and this time her prophecy had a global scale. She claimed that a massive volcanic eruption was coming, one that would affect places popular with Thai tourists. There would be fatalities among travelers. She hinted at two locations: sashimi, which is a metaphor for countries known for eating raw fish, like Japan, and second, Indonesia. She described these volcanoes as sleeping giants beneath the ocean, part of a long chain of undersea volcanoes that were about to awaken. She said it would start with one or two small eruptions, and then others would follow, creating a domino effect that would eventually trigger a tsunami. The word sashimi immediately made viewers think of Japan's Mount Fuji. Japan is world famous for its raw seafood, and it's one of the most beloved destinations for Thai tourists. It turns out that both Japan and Indonesia sit on the Pacific Ring of Fire, the world's most active volcanic and earthquake zone, stretching over 40,000 kilometers around the Pacific Ocean. It includes parts of North and South America, Asia, Oceania. This fiery belt contains about 75% of the world's active volcanoes, and about 90% of the world's earthquakes. What many don't realize is that underwater volcanoes make up a huge portion of this ring, and they remain largely unexplored. For example, Japan has 111 active volcanoes, but only 10 have been detected underwater. Indonesia has around 130 active volcanoes, but only 2 underwater volcanoes have been mapped so far. In truth, scientists estimate that over 99% of the undersea volcanic activity remains unknown. The Pacific Ocean floor is full of dangerous geological formations. The seafloor between Indonesia and Japan is especially complex, containing the Mariana Trench, the Philippine Trench, and countless underwater volcanoes nearby. The bottom line? There are far more volcanoes beneath the sea than on land, and if they erupt in a chain reaction, just as Pra has predicted, it wouldn't be a disaster for just one country. It would be a catastrophe for the entire world. Human history holds very little data about undersea volcanic eruptions. The most recent major incident was the 2022 eruption in Tonga. That single underwater blast triggered a tsunami that reached shores across the Pacific, blanketed parts of Tonga in volcanic ash, and cut off communications for days. And that was just one eruption. What if multiple volcanoes across the Pacific Ring of Fire erupted at once? We don't know, but AI simulations suggest 4 possible scenarios. 1. Massive undersea eruptions could trigger seafloor landslides, setting off tsunamis. These waves could strike Pacific coastlines, places like Japan, Chile, and the U.S. West Coast, with devastating force. 2. The eruptions would release lava, volcanic ash, and toxic gases into the ocean. This would change the chemistry of seawater, disrupting marine ecosystems and possibly killing off sea life across vast regions. 3. Volcanic gases entering the atmosphere could form aerosols, particles that block sunlight, leading to a sudden drop in global temperatures. A chain of eruptions could cause something similar to a volcanic winter. 4. The heat from eruptions could cause the ocean to boil in places, releasing gas bubbles and lightweight volcanic rock. Vast floating fields of this material could form. These reactions might release even more gas and energy into the sea, an unpredictable cascade. But the most terrifying threat is still the tsunami. Everyone still remembers the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, triggered by a massive magnitude 9+ earthquake off the coast of Sumatra. The seafloor shifted over 1,200 kilometers, with vertical displacement reaching 10 to 15 meters. The tsunami waves raced across the ocean at 700 to 800 kilometers an hour. In some regions, the wave height reached 10 to 30 meters. In just 15 minutes, Banda Aceh in Indonesia was hit. Within hours, the waves slammed into Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, Maldives, and eventually reached East Africa. Entire cities were leveled. Banda Aceh was drowned. In some places, the waves surged for several kilometers inland, leaving behind only mud and ruins. The death toll? Around 280,000 lives lost, with hundreds of thousands more injured or displaced. Now, imagine that scenario, but far worse. If multiple undersea volcanoes across the Pacific Ring of Fire erupted in quick succession, just as Pra predicted, the resulting tsunami could be many times more destructive than the one in 2004. It would indeed be a global catastrophe, perhaps even humanity's darkest hour. And the most unnerving part? Science and scientists can't see it coming. Most underwater volcanic systems are unmonitored, unmapped, and poorly understood. So, from the moment this program airs, if Pra's timeline is accurate, then the countdown to disaster ends on July 31st, 2025. That's less than 3 months away. Will the tsunami strike, just as she foresaw? No scientist can say for sure. All we can do is hope that this remains just a prophecy and that this nightmare never becomes reality. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.